Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order the Tuesday, April 23rd meeting of the St. Bernard Community Improvement Corporation. If we could please have a roll call by the secretary.
Jonathan Stuchel,
Present.
Tom Rolfson,
Here.
Bob Culbertson,
Here.
Joe Brickler,
Here.
Peggy Brickweg, Ray Culbertson,
Here.
Allie Palmer, Chris Sauer,
Here.
Chris Schildmeyer,
Present.
Amy Osmalley.
And if we could, do we have pardon me, we're going to ask, we have the minutes presented to you. Are there any corrections if you've had an opportunity to read them, or is there a motion to accept the minutes as printed?
I motion to accept the minutes that are. Second.
As far as treasurer report,
Yep, the balance at Fifth Third has not changed, $3,362.06. Nothing's coming in or out of that account right now. The first Fifth Third Bank account, the balance is $342,460.99. That concludes my report.
all right, we will hold off on the first action item. Taylor is en route, but moving to the second, just as a reminder, we will be having our elections actually next month. Going to decide to give it 60 days so that we can allow for candidates that want to come on board to do so. We already have one individual that has made themselves known as being interested as of right now, but again, just as a reminder, it's pretty well detailed on the back of your minutes as to what was agreed. We took the most senior members of the board that would be running for office again, Amy being our business representative, Ray being our elected or appointed, and then of course Bob being, who's as a resident now, would be up for re-election. There'd be an open position as well. Meredith is going to be stepping down and be serving in the capacity of as an advisor, so there actually is a true open position, even though all of the individuals would have to be elected. We will then also be starting from scratch, and actually during that same meeting, we'll be electing our officers for both, of course, treasurer, secretary, vice president, and president. So there's some opportunity for individuals to get involved. Still, I'm going to kind of stall a bit. We are going to ask for a motion, if we can, to go into executive session for the sale of property. So I think we could probably run through that while we're waiting on her, and then we can move forward. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purchase of, or for the sale of property?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
On the motion to come out of executive session, Jonathan Stuchel,
Yes.
Tom Rolfson,
Yes.
Bob Culbertson,
Yes.
Joe Brickler,
Yes.
Peggy's not here, Ray Culbertson, Chris Sauer,
Yes.
Chris Schildmeyer,
Yes.
Amy Osmalley. Yes.
Okay, now that we've come out of executive session for the discussion of the sale of property, we'll circle back to our action items. We had one remaining item left, update on remaining tenants to the shopping center. Currently, Pizza Hut will be ceasing operation right now, which would leave Ace Cash Express as the remaining tenant. At this point, there really isn't anything further to update. We will be moving to open discussion or additional agenda items. Is there anything that anyone on the board has under that section?
I do. I went down to the bank building, took pictures of everything on the first and second floor. I contacted Hilton Auctioneers in Sharonville, and I sent him pictures, and he goes, nobody buys old filing cabinets. He goes, a scrap dealer. And he's going, the desk, you know, nobody's gonna buy old wooden desk, you know. And so he just suggested like either having a scrapper come in, or I don't know what else you can do with them, but yeah, they're not interested in coming in and auctioning that little bit of stuff off.
All right, so we currently, again, there are gonna be some of the filing cabinets, and other items that they're gonna be repurposed, doesn't mean it's the majority. One option that we may have, again, because personally, you know, one of two things, either they go with it in the demolition, the wood desks are massive. The only other thing that we could also do is potentially try to organize without moving them out, but a community sale, let people can look at them and see if there's anyone in the community that would, you know, you buy it, you move it, option, but they're nice desks, but yes, they're massive, so we could potentially even, you know, once we know for sure what's not gonna be repurposed within, City Hall or any of our other departments, we could just make a list available, and if somebody wants to come and look at them, and, you know, we come up with some approximate pricing and let them come and purchase on site. You know, maybe organize a couple weekends where they could come in and look and make an offer. I mean, it is what it is. We're not gonna get anyone to come and do anything, so we might as well. I mean, does anyone think that would be out of the question? Keeps it in the community.
You also could just donate it to the Restore, and they would probably come and get it. The problem with those big desks, if somebody falls down the steps taking it out, I don't know who's responsible. But yeah, you could donate it to Restore.
St. Vincent de Paul will do pickups. I don't know if Restore does.
Oh, they may look at those desks and say, I don't think so. So. As far as anyone in the audience have anything under open discussion, additional agenda items?
Jeff Edwards, 310 Jackson. You just kind of updated us a little bit on the shopping center. Is there a time frame as to when it might start getting tore down?
So just to answer this quickly, we still have to have the tenants vacated before we can do that. So we're working on that. I can't give you an exact timeline. As soon as the tenants have vacated, then we can demo the building. I mean, I'm not gonna be tied to an exact timeline. We've been working on this for a period of time. I know you probably think we've not been doing much, but, you know, we have been working behind the scenes to try to diligently complete this. So, you know, there's just a couple contingencies that are holding up the project, but we're working on that, and as soon as the tenants can be properly relocated, we can then move forward with the demolition and start making some headway.
I was wondering too, is the developer under contract now, or is he, I'm just wondering if we're locked into this plan that we have now, or is it possible to get another developer?
So it is possible to get another developer. At this point, you know, we would be working with, you know, the current developer at this point, but there always is a possibility down the road, but we are still committed to that individual. If it doesn't work out, we will explore other options. But we're not, it makes zero sense for us to be pushing for another developer at this point unless we have something that we can move forward with. We need to get the tenant vacated, we need to get the building torn down, then we have something to offer. So we're not gonna be pushing either way until we have that and we have a timeline and when it can all happen.
Yeah, I just asked that because, you know, I've talked to, I wouldn't say hundreds of people, but scores of people, and not one person I've talked to is excited about 192 units with very little retail. I know we've talked before about being small and not having enough people in St. Bernard, but I have the opinion that as far as people travel now, within 20 minutes, there's 100,000 or 200,000 people. And I think if we got the right plan with unique businesses, we can bring them in, because so many of the people now just keep saying, we want a restaurant where we can go eat. Chicken Scratch is nice, it's bringing it, which is a good example. I've been to Chicken Scratch once, and there was nobody in there that I knew. And since I'm a lifelong resident, I'm thinking, well, that's good because it's drawing in people because it's unique. So if we can, that's my thought. I said we go to Bellevue to buy pretzel sandwiches. We go to Texas Roadhouse in Kenwood. We go to Norwood for certain things. We go to Hyde Park. You know, we'll go to Liberty Township to watch a comedian. That if we just can find unique businesses. You know, I've asked people with Beacon, because I've had numerous parts replaced, that I thought, well, over by where the Long Johns would have been, that would have been a great place for a new Beacon, because there's nothing in the center of town. And that would also be something that would draw people in. If we had restaurants and everything else, they could do that. We're just in such a good spot. We're so central. If we can just think out of the box and just go, we need to do these things, not just, you know, go with the 192 units and a few other things. I just don't want to be locked into something like that, because once this is done, we're stuck for 50 years. You know, this is 50 years old down here now, and there's no way we're going to tear it down if we find out it's a mistake.
So just to help answer your question, if you look at the other similar sites that have been constructed with retail on the lower level, you'll see plenty of vacancies. And I know that you say that it would be nice to have these restaurants or have retail opportunities that would come here. Does not mean that they are going to come here. I know you say that we're so close to hundreds of thousands of people. Yes, we are. There are also plenty of individuals that are not willing to take the risk in opening a business right now. There's still uncertainty. But at the same time, if you've also followed, you know, the trend where we're down to under 4,100 people. So at the same time, you're saying, okay, great, we're going to bring all these people in. We're also trying to be concerned about increasing our density at the same time, because we are trending, and we're going to trend below 4,000. So, you know, we're also trying to preserve St. Bernard to a sense that, yes, I understand you're saying that we need businesses, we need something that people can patronize, but we also, at the same time, need to worry about the financial strength of our village, earnings taxes, bringing in quality individuals that would be residents of our community, whether or not they would be property owners or not. So at the same time, the family dynamic has changed substantially from the point of where you've got 5 or 6 people in a household now being replaced by a young couple that may not have children or maybe just have one. So at the same time, we're also trying to, again, preserve an opportunity which only exists in building up. But I understand what you're saying, but it does not mean that we are stopping, and the whole idea we would be stopping at 190 units. That's not it. But if you can bring the people, and then we can, again, next phase, bring in retail opportunities that we can then be able to say, look, there's clientele that will support that. It's here, but yet then will be supplemented by individuals from outside and in the community.
Well, that's
If I
why
could
too-
just add to that as well. Sorry.
I was looking around. Okay, there she is.
I'm down here. You know, every development and every developer that comes into a community is trying to find, you know, that intersection of community wants and desires, market viability, and what is actually financeable. So you have to, you know, nail that middle ground of all three of those things. And beyond, you know, the community want component of this, which is extremely important, and that's actually what drove the current plan with the community engagement sessions that happened that, you know, hundreds of people did attend. When you actually get into the financing component of this and the market viability component of this, there was a market study conducted that supports the amount of retail that is shown in the current development. So at the end of the day, you know, we can want for an abundance of retail or an office user here, but if it's not something that's financeable, then nothing gets built. So there's a
understand.
balance.
But, you know, again, about getting our population up, you know, I've mentioned to the mayor before when we were putting out luminaries, I thought a good spot for a nice sized development for a apartment building is the old police station, where you could actually build some underground parking underneath that and build that up, which you could almost have the same type of apartments that you want down here, you could have up there. And if you could even somehow, I mean, since we're talking hypothetically, so, you know, you buy some more houses up farther up, you could have a really beautiful apartment building there. And if you had seniors in it, I thought you have balconies on the back, they're looking at the pool all summer, they're watching the kids play ball. It would be just another place where you can build up, you know, our population. And if you want to do something down here too, we might get close to 5,000, you know. But that's just,
I think there's lots of opportunities in the
I
village
do
to add density, and I think density is the bottom line thing that we can all agree on. If we don't have that, we don't have vibrancy. So, you know, construction-wise, that site is smaller than the site that we're talking about here. So the construction type to get the number of units needed to support the financing would require you to go a lot taller, and you're completely changing construction type at that point. So it does have its challenges, but I think, you know, there's lots of opportunity down the road to look up and down Vine Street.
on the other thing I'm just curious about too is the elections. Are people actually rotating off here, or they're just running against someone else if they run?
So, and I thought that I may have explained that previously. So there are basically, the most senior members of the group are actually up for reelection. There is one flat-out vacancy that actually, because Meredith is stepping down to serve in a similar capacity as Taylor is right now. So more or less, the individuals that are on the board, the senior members are wanting to stay, so they would be voted upon. But again, anyone can run against them. I mean, technically the seat is vacant, but they have put their name in the hat. So, but there is one true opening, as in there's no one on the board filling that spot.
And that's what I understood it to be. But my thought also was, I guess the people on the CIC will be voting for the people who are running for reelection. So what are the odds of someone being on there now actually getting voted off? I mean, is it actually practical to have, okay, we're calling an election, but there's almost no way that anyone on now is going to get voted off, and there won't be any new blood unless someone resigns. That was just a thought that I had.
That's a
Mr.
possibility.
And to me,
I think,
yeah.
Jeff, the problem we have is, you know, getting involvement. You know, since I've been on the CIC, you might have a person that wants to be on the board. So it goes back to when I, you know, was on council, everybody was term limits, term limits. Well, eventually you run out of people to be on the board, and then, no disrespect to anybody, then you get people on the board who might not be qualified or best suited to be on the board, and someone, you know, that it's more deserving would lose a seat just because, you know, they had the privilege to serve for the last 8 years.
That's good. I mean, I understand that too, but the point I was just making, and I don't know anybody here that I would say I don't want on it, but it just, is it really a true election if there's very little? I mean, you might as well just keep the same people all the time. But that's just all I had, and I just wanted to bring that up, but thank you.
Jonathan, I got one thing. This new business going in up around the corner in Spring Grove, that probably has nothing to do with CIC, but as mayor, can you just give a little background on what they're building up there?
Okay, thanks, Tom. So basically, it's a digester. So you're taking one industry's waste and turning it into energy. It's not going to be, it's going to take up more square footage than what you would think based upon what would normally equate to however many employees. It's a process that, again, is much needed. There are not a large number of employees, but again, because of what is produced in St. Bernard itself, again, you're taking one industry's waste and making it into energy. So it's great that they were able to locate themselves here. I think it's a great replacement ultimately for what was a dilapidated building and a school bus parking lot. I mean, I think it's great because, again, you're also being able to utilize the local industry itself. It's not about a massive amount of material being trucked in. Doesn't mean that there isn't going to be some, but it's perfect for St. Bernard based upon what we have industry-wise. Is there anyone else in the audience that has anything that they'd like to bring up? Otherwise, I show our next meeting on Tuesday, May 28th here in council chambers. Is there a motion to adjourn? Well, thank you. We'll see you next time. And again, anyone that's wishing to run, you'll be given an opportunity to make a presentation at the next meeting.